I just beat tier 100 of the pit on Diablo 4 using Shadow Mages. So right now I'm going to run you through all my gear and then go on the skill trees and Paragon and all that stuff later on. So right now, on the helmet, we're having Occult Dominion. Chestplate, we're using Blood Getters. On the gloves, we're using Reanimation for more minion damage. On the pants, we're using Hardened Bones, damage reduction. Boots, movement speed. Our weapon is pretty good. Trying to max it out with the Masterwork, and we landed twice on Skeletal Mage's damage. Hopefully we can get the last hit on either Skeletal Mage's damage or attacks to cast twice. That'd be very nice. Our amulet is actually kind of... it's alright, it's decent. It's pretty trash, but trying to get Hellbent Commander as an amulet for more damage, but it's been... amulets are usually the hardest thing to roll for in a game. There's just so many good things you can roll for on the amulet. We're using Frenzy Dead on the amulet for more attack speed. We're using Unyielding Commander for increased damage. And Grasping Veins for the increased crit chance. Now for the Book of the Dead. We're using Reapers to create corpses. For Shadow Mages, we're using the Fire and additional Shadow Bolt every 3 attacks. We can actually use this for a bigger damage multiplier. I just like seeing the projectiles. I like seeing more projectiles. I don't know. But you can't go wrong with this either. I'm not sure if this would do more damage than this, but I would say they're pretty close. I would just like the more coverage of AoE and stuff like that. And Best Boy Golem, we actually sacrifice him, unfortunately. He does pretty good damage, but I actually do not like playing Golem. The problem is with Golem, you have to time all your buffs with his skill cooldown as well. And for me, personally, I'm kind of lazy, and I don't like keeping track of that kind of stuff. With Shadow Mages, you literally just rip it and go. You could also run Blood Golem. Since our Golem's kind of like essentially quote-unquote useless, you can run Blood Golem and make him take 30% of the damage you would take for more damage reduction. You become very tanky with this. This is very good. Here you become almost Glass Cannon, but I'll explain further on what we can do to make this build better later on in the video. As for skill tree, I'll go run through it real quick. We're not using Decompose, we're just doing it to unlock the bottom. Just your standard Necromancer stuff. Hewed Flesh, 1 point for Blood Mist. Get Bloody Corpse here. Increased armor. Thorns helps for proccing Decrepify. Skeletal Warrior, 1 point here. More damage corpses. Less damage, more damage. Movement speed. Mages. Try to stack as many Skeletal Mage Mastery fixes as we can. Hopefully I can get greater fixes on these eventually. Amplify damage, Decrepify, usual stuff. We're going for Corpse Tendril here. 2 points into Necrotic Carapace. We're a little point starved, but that's fine. And 1 in Reaper's Pursuit. You can go more in Reaper's Pursuit if you want. You can take 1 point from here, for example, so you can be more fast, but personal preference. Gloom, more shadow damage, and Terror, more shadow damage. We have Army of the Dead. This allows us to do a lot of damage. Our little steroid. Our usual Inspiring Leader and Hellbent Commander. It'd be nice if I can get an amulet with this, so to increase more of the damage when I'm close to my minions. But we don't need these because minion survivability is actually perfectly fine, especially with Army of the Dead. So. And bringing the minions back to normal, back to life. We don't take Kalan's Edict because we're doing Shadow minions. We actually do Shadow Blight. Now you may be wondering, how do we get our Shadow Blight? For one thing, if you saw through my gear, we don't actually empower our Skeletal Warriors with shadow damage, but that's fine. We actually just use Corpse Explosion for that. Corpse Explosion is pretty good. Helps proc Abhorrent Decrepify to get our cooldowns nice and low. I personally like to use this skill. You can also use what is it? Blight. But once again, this is a spender, so you have to you can't just spam it. You have to be wary of your resource here. And I'm lazy and I like to not have as many things to manage, but yeah. That's the skill tree and build I'm running. And then we'll go through the Paragon. So for the Paragon, just your regular old stuff. Hold on, let me clear this, sorry. Okay. First one, we go Mages. And we try to get every intelligence point we can here to increase Skeleton Mage damage, to increase that percentage. And we try to get as much max life as possible. We go into Dead Razor here. We try to get, once again, more Skeletal Mage damage on this little node here. And then we go into Essence. I think this is Bone Graft, I believe. Yep, it's Bone Graft. Then we go into Amplify. I don't remember. Yeah, Hulking Monstrosity. We actually don't even use Golem, so once again, we're just using a Paragon board there. Scourge or Flesh Eater. Abyssal, Scent of Death. And finally, Territorial or Wither. So that's the Paragon boards. And now to show you how the build works. So I had to go get a clip of how the build plays out, and we're going to show how the damage kind of ramps up from here. So first we're going to showcase the Blighted stacks. So if you see that in the bottom here, we're at 3 stacks right now. Once we hit 10, we're going to get the Blighted aspect, and then we're going to start seeing bigger damage numbers. So right now, they're hitting for like a decent amount, not too high. Once this hits 10, as you can see, that's a 2.161 million non-crit. Hopefully we can take a snapshot of a crit. You can see some 600, almost 700k. There's another, if you see that number behind this little gold number, there is actually a 5 million crit and a 2.4 non-crit. 2.4 million non-crit. There's another 2 million non-crit. Let's see if we can... That is not 31 million, that is 31k. There's a 3.597 million crit. You get the idea. So now we're gonna stack the Flesh Eater and the Blighted at the same time and see if we can get higher numbers. Let's see here. It's a 61k. Right there, we got a 6.1 million crit. That's pretty good. We can start seeing the damage ramp up. And if you can see in the back here, it's kind of hard to see here. It's a 4.8 million crit. So already you can see Flesh Eater and Blighted working off of each other because they're both multiplicative. And our skill here that when we eat a corpse or use a corpse, sorry, we get more multiplied damage. Alright, some big 2.2 million non-crit. And you get the idea here. We're hitting average of 2 to 6 millions and with these 2 buffs on. Alright, and now I think we're going to start slapping everything together, including, I think, Corpse Central and Army of the Dead. Army of the Dead is a big damage boost. So as you see, we are at 5 stacks for Flesh Eater, 8 stacks. I just popped my Army of the Dead, and we're going to start seeing some big numbers. Alright, it's going to be very hard to see. So bear with me. Let's see if we can get a... There is a 16 million one. Right there, 16.1. That's a 16 million shot. Let's see if we can get another big one. Here's a 15 million. 15664,067. There is, I think, another 16 million back there. Oh, I see a 18 million in the back here. I think the buffs are about to run out. Yeah, so on average, we're hitting maybe, let's say 15 to 20 million. 20 million being the topper end if we're lucky. That's all the buffs, the corpse tendril, and everything vulnerable included. So you have 5 mages shooting maybe sometimes 2 projectiles at once, or sometimes casting a projectile twice. So you can see where the damage starts really ramping up at 15 to 20 mil per skeleton mage, right? Very good. Back on the golem, why I don't run golem, you would have to time the blighted buff, the flesh eater buff, your army of the dead, and then finally the golem cooldown. It felt for me too piano-y, I like to call it. This here, you only have to press like your corpse tendril every so often, your army of the dead so often, and then just decrepify. You're bouncing between your decrepify, your corpse explosion mainly, and your raising corpses every so often. So it's very easy. It's very relaxed. Don't get me wrong, golem is probably way stronger in terms of burst damage, but in terms of playstyle, I like shadow mages a lot more. Very chill. We'll finish the clip off. I think there's no big damage numbers here, but yeah, that's about it. That's how the build plays out. You're just gonna literally spam your army of the dead off cooldown, make sure your minions are empowered, corpse tendril, gather them up, and then corpse explosions to help get everything off cooldown. And you have your oh shit button, which is the blood mist. I will have the full run of the pit 100 at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. So this is where I talk about how we can improve the build and make it even stronger. Obviously, we can hopefully hit on the final masterwork here, or 11 of 12. So on the 12th one, we hit either skeletal mages or skeletal mages attacks to cast twice. Either or, that would be really good. This is not like obviously like the best weapon out there, but this is pretty good. For the pants and gloves, we can obviously get greater affixes on skeletal mage mastery, and that'll be pretty awesome as well. For the gloves, maybe we can take out critical strike damage for attack speed, or we can keep it the way it is. I think the way I have it now set up is pretty good until I get a greater affix for skeletal mage mastery. One thing I want to talk about is this build. You'll see in the video of the full run. I'll have that at the end of the video, like I said before. While we're sacrificing the iron golem for critical strike damage multiplicative, you are paper thin. It is unfortunate, but that's just how like these infinitely scaling games work. Especially Necromancer. Necromancer, I feel like, is on survivability side, is on the weaker side of things. Mainly because of the minions, you let the minions take the hit, and probably that's why Necromancer is so paper thin. To solve this paper thin weakness, I did mention earlier that we can take Blood Golem, absorbs 30% of the damage you would take, but you would lose out on a lot of damage. This makes your skeleton mages on steroids. It's really nice. It's really good. One thing we can do is switch out the helmet for Harlequin's Crest. That has cooldown reduction, active skills, and I think they work on Skeletal Mage Mastery. So even more damage out the box, and I think they have 20% damage reduction as well. So that helmet there is super OP. Very nice. Makes you super tanky, and it buffs your damage. And if you were to do that, you would take off Helm of Occult Dominion, and you would just move it to the boots and take out your speed buff. That's realistically, if you're pushing higher pit stuff, you don't need that much move speed. But yeah, you would push this helmet aspect that I have here and just push it onto the boots, and you're a lot tankier. Now, you can either go Harlequin's Crest for more damage, or you can go for Tyrael's Might on the chest. If you don't know what Tyrael's Might is, I think it's new this season. It's another uber unique. It increases your max resistance. I believe 5%. I'm not too sure, but you also get to masterwork it further beyond increasing the resistance cap. Not only that, and it comes with innate damage reduction with it as well. So that solves the tankiness by going by sacrificing your iron golem. So once again, if you want to go tanky, take the blood golems, or 30%. I would take this maybe for anything under pit tier 80. If you want more damage, you go here. But to make it even more tankier, you would get Harlequin's Crest. I keep saying Quest. Harlequin's Crest or Tyrael's Might. The difference between Tyrael's Might and Harlequin's Crest is that Harlequin's Crest will give you more damage, and Tyrael's Might will make you overall more tanky. Up to your preference, choose one, as we need a lot of aspects for Necromancer. And this is the Shadow Mages build that I'm running for Season 4 Diablo 4. It's been a blast. It's been really fun running minions and finally seeing them to be able to get into the very tip-top of endgame content. Took 4 seasons, but hey, we made it. We're here. It's been great. Thanks, Blizzard. Like I said during the video, I'm going to be showing the full pit run at the end. Do note, I do die at the boss 2 to 3 times. There was a new mechanic that was happening during that boss fight, and it was new to me, so I was kind of figuring it out and adapting on the fly. And you'll see why I say the build is kind of paper thin, but other than that, enjoy and thanks for watching. Take care, everyone.